Hey, everybody, welcome back to Three Swords Productions. If you're new here, I am Steven, and this is Nathan, and we are back in the booth tonight for some Kinemon versus Law OPO2 match.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of OPO3 stuff on the channel, but getting back to our roots, getting back to what's actually being played, because we're getting back into playing in our locals.
Yeah, well, we still have another month to go in set two, and there's going to be, still some more events to come up. So, yeah, I think, still experiencing some of the deck lists that we were really hot on after Arlington. Definitely, you're
hmm
playing Nikki's Lot here tonight, and I'm playing a Kinemon list that you brought over. I'm actually not sure.
I believe it's top 8 list.
Just
I don't remember
something
the
from
name
the
off the top
top
of my
eight.
head, but
Yeah,
yeah.
well, it felt pretty stock. Although I will say it felt like stock Kinemon, except it was playing five drop Kid. I'm sorry, five drop Law.
Yeah, it's actually playing 3 of those, I
It
believe.
felt like I saw plenty of them
Yeah.
in that game. So yeah, I mean, and then there was like twice where I bottomed one to the deck. So yeah, three, maybe even four in the deck.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head, but yeah,
It
3 or
felt like
4.
a good number though. Like I was. It's not. I was not playing like killer or anything. So I'm not doing anything too crazy
You're
against
playing
you.
a single killer.
The
One
three
single.
drop.
Yeah, one single
Oh,
killer.
okay. Yeah, I didn't find any of those in that match, and I didn't see any like when I was.
Yeah, we
Like,
still get the
looking back,
Nekos
so.
and stuff, so that's good. But
All right, guys. Well, we are gonna flip over to it, and yeah, just join us for the match.
yeah, let's go. Yeah, so like Steven said, we talked about the Kinemon list there, but this is Nikki's Law list,
Mhm.
which is specifically the Dogura Law with the starter Namis.
Yeah,
and,
that card. That card's really good. So the starter Namis, I think, ended up being a really calculated choice based on a lot of experience. If I had to guess.
I also think so, but
Mhm.
I've wanted to play with it just to test it as printed, get my own stock of it since I'm not exactly a giant Law player myself.
Yeah, you're like a normal sized law player,
Yeah,
so.
it's
So what's interesting is like playing against it here. I know that you saw it. You definitely countered out with it throughout the game. But one thing I noticed was that you didn't play it. You didn't feel the comfort level in order to play that on the table, and you didn't use it to like really be effective against me. No shots fired. I think that Nikki was like kind of popping off in order to like play that card really. So it just shows that there are a lot of card choices that you can make in the deck that feel like your card choice.
um, you're definitely not wrong. To be fair, I didn't see Dogura. I saw it once off of Dodon, I believe, or
Not
something.
not Dogura, no, the starter Nami.
Oh, starter Nami, yes. Um, you know, it gets a little weird towards the end of the game that I think it's better as counterpower, which is mostly why I held it. But yes,
Mhm.
I totally get that.
Yeah. So and also I'm in the driver's seat even from this early turn two here where Yamato comes down for three, taps the Curly Dadan, and then Kinemon actually comes across at the Dadan to clean it up. And so we are just aggressively taking care of your characters here.
Yeah, and that is super good. Obviously, quite scared of a Yamato. It's a difficult thing for me to remove unless I have exactly like a jet pistol. And even here, I don't know that's a great use of that jet pistol.
Yeah.
So
Here looks like I'm holding Killer, Raizo, and Capone Gang.
all pretty good.
Going to be cards that I think plague you in this matchup. We'll see.
Yeah.
Clearly, have Momonosuke on the table. We are looking to use that when we're not busy with the Yamatos and pick up Jewelry Bonnie off the life. Ooh.
Yeah, and I liked playing Vista to get rid of the Momo before you can get the actual
Yeah.
value out of it. Fills up my board a little bit. My hand's a little bit high cost right now. I have 2 laws in hand currently, I believe, and another Vista. So using one of these doesn't feel like I've lost a whole lot of power. It was a little bit of a debate whether I should attack you in the first place on that last turn,
Mhm.
do the leader swing. It by me killing the Momo, it could mean that I'm just trying to really grind you out of resources
Yeah.
and play a game where I'm not going to give you anything. But ultimately, I think my hand is a bit more aggressive than that, and I don't think I can play quite as long of a game at this point. So I opted to go for the attack.
So on that line exactly. I think that you need to be taking like a very measured approach to your opponent's life total. You're going to see me in this matchup not take some attacks that I could attack you with, um, because I'm trying to control where your life is at versus the number of cards in your hand.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking to get some cards away from you before I give you another life. Now that being said, it's not me just not attacking your life. You'll see I just attacked you with Yamato there to put you down to 3. What I'm trying to do is manipulate your life total in such a way that I'm taking you down to 1 or 0 while also making sure that you're being pressured on the table and you can't just dump resources into a random like defense.
Right.
So it's trying to take both approaches. You need to represent pressure, and if you can't present pressure, then you're going to really struggle at the end of the game. But Yamato affords me that ability, really.
Oh,
So.
it really does. Yeah, it opens up all those options. And obviously, you saw the power here again with another Yamato coming down to clear the Vista and keeping my character count quite low.
Right, and I think that's like even better than like Nikomushi or an Okiku here, because Yamato is like a 6K, right? And
Yeah.
if you're presenting pressure, you're gonna prefer to present pressure against my 5K leader rather than my Yamatos. And Otama attack with leader comes down, and we are going to just let that go. We have cards in our hand, but they're all very valuable to us, so we do not want to counter out with any of those at the moment.
And I think it's also fair. I could definitely come across with like play Zoro, come across with that at it again, and then it feels even more awkward that you put a card into it in the first place.
Right, like I just don't know what to expect on that first swing with a lot of dots still open.
Yep.
So, right, I think that's a consideration for me in that moment. It was just, boy, I wish I had a 2K in my hand. I would counter out of this, but I did not. So.
Sure.
And we're just going to test your law here with a 5K attack. Of course, if you do choose to block with the blocker law, then we can come at it with Yamato, and I think you know that as well, which is why you just let it go through.
I think that's exactly true, yeah.
It was a little bit sneaky what I did, because I never intended to attack the Yamato, and you see the 7-drop kid comes down. This is the first turn where I could have attacked with the Yamato, but I chose not to do so, because I think you would just take the damage, and then I'd expose my Yamato for a couple of attacks.
It's the exposure of the Yamato that I think is even bigger, almost at this point, is that you don't want the attacks back on it.
Right, and I'd rather all the attacks that you were going to make go face, and you don't want to attack face, so it just makes your whole turn a little bit more awkward.
Yep.
Where we know that this is about to be a resource exchange, so taking me down lower on life without actually pressuring me is not going to be beneficial to you, so this turn is a bit awkward.
Yeah, and I'm going to use this turn instead to really build up my board, try and get to the actual law turns here where you're using the ability of the leader. And it's hard to get in for a lot of the attacks that Law likes to get in. Law likes to do a lot of 5K attacks or 7K attacks sometimes, but a lot of 5s, and that is tough when there's a 7-drop kid on the table. Obviously, a very easy blocker for those attacks. So doing lots of attacks wouldn't be good. Instead, doing one big attack maybe with a Law would be better.
Right, so you want to also protect your board from the exposure of being attacked, right?
Oh, absolutely.
7-drop kid is also, he's basically an 8K attacker who's going to restand at the end of the turn, and it's that restanding that is so devastating because you cannot swing back on it at all.
No.
It's well defended, and 7-drop kid shining very brightly in set 1, not so hot in set 2, but in these matchups, it is an all-star.
Yeah. Also, absence of Jet Pistol makes it a bit better, usually.
Yeah, Jet Pistol here, me knowing that you're not playing Jet Pistol on your list is very brutal for you in this matchup in particular.
Yeah.
I'm kind of griefing a little bit as I don't really play around your Jet Pistol with my Yamato swings. Definitely flame me in the comments today because you're going to see me make a couple Yamato attacks that should not be happening against red players. You definitely have to respect the Jet Pistol, and at any moment, if you had flipped one from your life, I probably would have lost the game.
Yeah.
So don't drag me too hard, but I definitely need it because I should have played around it. And 7K comes across here with your law.
Yeah, I just want to be at least big enough that if you block with the kid, you're going to have to pitch a card from your hand.
Yeah.
Leave up some options in the 3-Don possible, but likely we can see a law ability picking up a Don for some effect here.
I'm seeing a lot of blockers in my hand, so I'm looking to pick up the cards off my life so that I can, keep pressure because an Odin behind this table would be very nice. So we are digging for the Odin at the moment.
And here we see that exact thing we talked about with exposure of characters previously, in that I do untap my blocker law.
Mm-hmm.
I could attack with it again. It's not that bad of an attack.
Yes.
I wouldn't even be that upset if it were to die, because I'm not necessarily going to block with it. Or I would be upset with it if I were to die, but I'm not even necessarily going to block with it. It's just, I don't want to lose that character. It's a good character to keep attacking with. So
we're cruising towards the end game here. We're both at 2.
Yep.
We both have a large amount of cards in our hands. And you are looking at building up your board full of 6Ks. Now, if I were to just take one of those out, for not much resources. At this point, at this point of the game, I put 3 Dawn onto my starter or sorry, my 7-drop kid here,
Hmm.
and I attack your Law for 10. You're losing a Law, or you're losing a lot of resources,
Absolutely.
and you've gained nothing. Except maybe one of my life. So it's really not worth it for you to overexpose there. And I like the discipline that it takes Law players to, you need to be able to restand. Starter Law was such an upgrade to the deck, as it just allows you to get aggressive,
Mhm.
stay aggressive, and restand your characters to protect them.
Yeah. Plus, I'm also not upset with what happened last turn. I was able to deal 2 damage
Mm-hmm.
with my 2 attacks, so
Yeah.
I'm not even upset
You
that
did, yeah.
I don't get that extra attack even.
Here, you're going to see me come across for 8. This is about the time that I want to just deal 1 damage to you and pass.
Yeah.
Now, you took that pretty easily, so we might be trying to pressure your board as well. We do have quite a bit of Dawn left, and we are also in the mode where we are going to flood down with blockers, but it's just a matter of like building up pressure before we rely on the blockers to like flood our board. So one of the downsides of that is that you just find yourself backpedaling, and your opponent doesn't actually need to apply much pressure to get through your blockers.
Yeah.
They just have to be there. And then on the following turn, it's awkward because if you want to play more characters, you're going to need to destroy your own blockers. So it can be a bit awkward. You need to make sure that you have the pressure first.
Yeah.
So we are going to come across for 7 here, try to pressure you a little bit more.
Yep. I pitch out with Otama. I had an option to either pitch out that or Makino. It was possible that Makino comes down pretty good later, and I also have 2 more Otamas in hand, so that's the only real choice there is just...
Otamas are so powerful here, and I have the option to play one of the many blockers on my hand, or continue to build up pressure on the board, and I go with the Raizo.
Yeah, and that was a play that, as me on the other side, surprised me. I expected something scarier there, or for you to hold up to Punk Gibson. When I say scary, I mean like a blocker, or to hold up like something like Punk Gibson. And instead, you tapped out for that. So I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
It's low power, but I know I'm going to hold the Nikomamushi on the following turn.
Yeah.
Nothing you do is really going to take out Nikomamushi as a priority. So even if you have another Vista, it's probably going at the Jewelry Bonnie. So we know that we're having Nikomamushi. And if that's gone, fine. We'll still have our kid. So Raizo will get that advantage, and it's really nice to be able to put Raizo behind a table of blockers, right? So if we do end up losing most of our board here, then we'll have Raizo, we'll have the kid to rebuild, and we have 3 blockers in hand.
Mhm.
So we are going to be protecting this Raizo, and he's going to be drawing us cards.
yeah, I think that's actually a really good assessment.
But I also realize that right now, when I have 2 cards in life, this is probably the only time in the game where I'm safe to just tap out for a Raizo.
Oh yeah.
So I thought, hey, it's either this turn for Raizo or he's just counter power, and I actually think the effect is valuable here. So
Yeah. And this is the turn that I start considering, should I be playing more aggressive, or should I be playing a little bit more for the card draw with the Dans? And I opt to definitely take a little bit more of aggressive line here. Shrink the 7-drop with the Otama, so that anytime it blocks now, you have to actually use a card to save it. And we're going to start coming in for a lot of attacks.
and we pick up Scratch Manapoo at the exact right moment.
So it's a good pickup. It's a good pickup.
We are feeling hot right now.
Yep, swinging for 5 with Vista. Obviously, he could counter out of it if he wanted to, but taking it is also, I think, completely fine, especially with all the blockers he's got in hand.
And coming across for 5 makes my Scratch Manapoo a little bit worse. So as hot as we were feeling, I think you just kick the AC on.
I do that often, yeah. I do kick the AC on a little bit. Yeah, and now we're considering what we want to do with the laws. Again, we're talking about exposure of creatures. We don't want these characters to be attacked when they shouldn't be attacked. So I'm opting for, I think, what is going to be just a big attack here with a 9 on the Law to the face. Likely will take it, but gets over the large blocker in play, and now forces that last life, so that any attacks that come through, you either have to counter out or block, which I think is quite good here.
Right, yeah. So I did one of the things that I classically do, and that is going down to 0 life, because I feel like I can defend myself well. Now, I say I classically do it. It's not right. I definitely prefer holding myself at 1 life. You just have so much more breathing room at 1 than you do at 0.
Yep.
So I tend to just take too much damage often. But here you do a 3K swing on my Jewelry Bonnie. But fortunately for me, I have a 5K blocker thanks to that Otama. So.
Yeah. It felt The attack felt like if you block with the kid, then I'm going to be able to come down and do a very large swing on life, which I thought maybe you might be afraid of, since you've taken some. You're obviously at no life. So I'm weighing my options, but I think the big attack is still good. I think I still want to eat all the cards out of your hand that I can, and it might be the same if I was to attack something like the kid, but I think I'd rather make sure the cards are out of your hand for the future turns. I have blockers on board. I still have a life. Not super afraid because I have a lot of counter power in hand. So I think taking the big swing here is actually the correct move.
So I don't disagree with you at all. I mean, this was a good attack to my face. This is a good opening up of opportunity for you to get several cards out of my hand as we go into a final push resource exchange on the following turn. What I think the block was like a no-brainer for me. I'm holding a lot of blockers, and I had 3 Scratch My Poo.
Yeah.
So I already knew that, hey, this Eustace kid is not blocking anything powerful this turn because countering out with the kid is the same as countering out with my leader.
Yep.
So I might as well just counter out the leader. It's roughly the same to me, and I definitely know that part of my game plan involves this kid, so it is surviving. Like I cannot win the game without this kid. It is pivotal, right?
Yep.
So for me, it was just an easy block. Like even if you make a swing on the kid, like, well, that just gives me the option to like not counter if I want.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, so you're never attacking this kid.
Yep.
It's pretty easy.
No, I think that's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
I started the turn being like, well, maybe I wanted Dan to be able to pressure his life if he starts countering out pretty quickly. But I think honestly the best play was just to Dan first at the Bonnie.
Sure, you start out that way.
Yeah.
So what I really like doing with those Otamas, rather than putting them on the blocker that you think they're going to block with, I'm a giant fan of putting them on the target that we want to get off the board. So in this instance, I think like Yamato was like the target.
Yeah.
Because you need to clear my 6Ks away. So I think if you had Otama the Yamato, then you have a lot of cool attacks on the Yamato itself instead of offering me up life, and we play like a bit of like a board exchange for a little while. But I think this was an admission that you picked your lane and I picked mine. Mine was a very board control lane, and yours was I have to be the aggressor here, and I have to put the Kinemon on control and have them backpedaling over and over. And to your credit, I actually think that worked out quite well because I'm finding it very difficult to get to your life due to your counter power. And because I'm the control round, I don't have the option to just like restand my characters and attack again and again. Then I'm just sitting here like, if I go all out, then that means I can't defend.
And it felt like at this exact point, that was just super good.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm left with 4 characters or 3 characters in a leader that can attack my opponent down, he'll have the kid to be able to block with. He might have another blocker in hand or something like that, and then I'll be able to probably crack through for what I imagine will be the rest of the defenses. Now we know your hand a bit more.
I did not expect that other 2K. You already let so many 2Ks go.
My hand was full of 2Ks. Woo! I was okay with defending this thing.
I swung for 7 on that starter law, and I was like, this is gonna break it. And you dropped my Kino, and I was like, I'm an idiot.
It's not an idiot. It just feels, I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels bad when your opponent has all the 2Ks they can possibly have.
I was definitely counting those, and I was like, all right, he's played so many, we got him. And then no, we didn't get him.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way he lets that many Otamas go if he still has a 2K in his hand. But no, you did. You just let them all go. You're like, we don't need this.
Yep.
And I was like, fair, you got me. I felt like I got.
But the other side here is you find the last Apu off the Bonnie, so you do have another 2K in hand. Some more counter powers have been added.
Yeah, so it's really tough, right? I'm tapping the Bonnie, but I don't know what I'm looking for because I have 4 Dawn. I was really counting my 5 Dawn that was remaining and saying, like, what combination of blockers do I want to play? Because I have to think about the killers that are in my hand. I have to think about, how do I follow up on the following turn?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that's going into this right now. And how much Dawn do I want to put on the killers themselves?
Oh, yeah.
So is it even worth it to tap the Bonnie? Tapping the Bonnie means another character on my board that I can sacrifice to the blockers. How many blockers am I going to need?
Yeah.
Right? There's so many questions. Like if you're holding Vista, then this whole game plan falls apart if I only have 2 blockers on the table as opposed to 4. So I really want to just want to overcommit on them and make sure that you can't get me with like a Vista or like Curly to Dan Vista, bounce Vista, play it again or
Yep.
some shenanigans like that. It's so difficult to know exactly what law can do to you. So I just have to overcommit on blockers here.
I think that's completely correct too.
In order to do that, I think I have to tap the Bonnie. And so swing 9 is just going to net you an easy Capone.
Yep. Swing
And
7.
not so easy. I am actually holding Scratchman and Pooh plus, 2 more killers. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the mode of saying like, maybe I just counter out of this. Actually, it looks like Raizo and 1 killer.
Yep.
And we counter out with Raizo because we know it's not useful to us, but the killer is actually useful
Oh,
on
very
the following
much. Yes.
turn. So we're trying to keep that. And I actually, in this moment, I actually felt kind of bad because I had used a blocker and a card in my hand, and I was thinking, maybe that should have just been a Capone block. It's tough, right?
Yeah,
It's really
I
tough.
think that's actually reasonable.
Because you want the cards in your hand to represent one stopping of an attack, and you want each blocker to also represent one.
Yeah.
But by combining the two for a better block, air quotes, I had actually reduced the number of blockers that I had and the cards in my hand. So I think it was actually really bad to do that.
Okay.
But I like I said, I also felt like I really desperately wanted that killer. So
Yeah, I think you can get a card draw out of it next turn pretty reasonably. So
mhm.
it's like the same then.
Yeah.
But obviously.
Well, what I could have done instead of blocking was just Scratchman and Pooh plus the Raizo
Yeah,
and counter out, and then I still have my 7-drop kid.
that's fair.
But then, like once I go down to like 1 card in hand, the math isn't that hard for you to do.
Right. I definitely agree.
It's tough. It's just a lot to think about in this moment. I have to think about all the things law can do, and you also have to think about all the things the law can do. So it's kind of tough. All right, come across for 7.
Yep.
Probably just on my leader here. There's no reason for you to attack board.
No,
at this point.
it's gonna net the same I think all around pretty much. So I attack your lead. I assume you block in some fashion with Capone Gang or something like that.
Yeah, or we could just take the damage and hit the concede button, but I don't think we want to do that yet. We have
I don't think so.
A lot of good blocks left.
Yeah. And then I use my last 2 to play out 2 choppers. Just to really protect the life. And
I'm glad. I was very confused why you were putting that Curly Dan in the graveyard, and even watching it on camera again, I'm still confused, even though I do know 5 character limit was hit.
Yeah.
And that's why we put the Curly Dan on the second chopper, not the first one. But it's just like such a smooth motion. You've confused me twice. I knew exactly what was happening, and I was still. No one should be that smooth when laying out 2 choppers.
Yeah, I think the misplay here that I did was not. I obviously don't have a lot of cards in hand. I have a single card left in hand. We know it's starter Nami, so I only have 1,000 to pitch out for.
Well, I don't know that it started Nami. I don't think I saw that.
Yeah, I don't know that you know it. I'm saying we know it at this exact point. But I think the misplay here was not attacking with my 6-drop law or my 5-drop law.
Blocker.
Yeah, the blocker law there. Sorry, yeah, they're all 5-drop laws.
To aggress me one more time.
There's 3 more laws on the table. I don't know.
3 laws out there.
Yeah, but I think the misplay was not attacking with it. I think I'm safe from dying, so I don't think there's a reason to hold it back. And attacking with it would mean another card out of your hand. If I were to eat the Apu out of your hand, then that is one thing that I wouldn't have to deal with on the future turn.
So I started this turn saying, I don't have enough attacks that can get through, even if everything went my way. So I can't win the game. So let's clear his board. And then I went face first, and I think that was actually really bad, because that actually could have just helped you save all your characters. So I think that first 6K attack from Kinemon should have went on your law.
That's fair.
And then you would probably have let that go through because you're worried about your life total. So we're playing a little bit of a different game. But it netted a chopper, so it was, it balanced out. But I've just been thinking about it ever since that attack happened.
Yeah, that's fair.
Man, if you had just taken the life, I think you would be fine. And then you'd just be up 1 card. And that's why that Kinemon attack was actually really, really bad. I should not have done that.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I should not have done that, and you should have taken the damage.
I was fearful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was the mistake.
It's tough to know, really, because that killer could also get aggressive, but it's probably not that serious.
Here I see I have 3 attacks. My opponent has 3 blockers, so I'm never getting through on this turn. So at least might as well build up the counter power in my hand, put it to Dawn, get a little bit of power back so I can establish what's going on. And at this point, both of the cards in my hand, I think, are well suited as counter power in hand rather than anything committed to the board. I'm not gaining anything out of those, so we're going to go in for some attacks, get these killers off the board, let them draw his cards, but hopefully we don't die this turn, and on the following turn we can, get through in some fashion.
Right. So breaking that law felt like the victory for me. I certainly didn't need to kill you in the last turn. I can pace you down. I'm still holding a lot of blockers. I have Starter Kid, which is just that card is so good.
It is really good.
7-drop Kid is so powerful. But we have in the Yamato, which came down on turn 2 of this game, still on the table.
That's the second Yamato. This is the one on turn 3.
Actually, no. When you attacked, I actually let go of the second Yamato.
Okay.
So I could have this moment.
This exact moment, yeah.
That's actually, if you play it back, that's actually the Yamato that came down on turn 2. Yeah.
I should have caught it.
You should have got it, yeah. Exactly. But, funny enough, Yamato from turn 2 is still on the table attacking, even if it's turn 3, whatever.
Yep.
It's from fairly early. And that's why Yamato is super powerful in this matchup, because your opponent just can't commit resources necessary to kill it. They're doing other things. And the whole time, he's just being, the aggressive tool that we needed. My hand was actually, I think, really bad for this matchup. We had a lot of blockers, but, hey, Law doesn't have any problems attacking through blockers. Mm-hmm. That's what they do.
Yeah, you think
5K,
so?
5K, 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 and we got there. But the Yamato being the force while being backed up by those blockers was very different, and that's what texturized this game, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And here you attack for 8, which is just free for you, but
And the cheeky counter out was pretty funny. I was actually thinking about how I should play the Yamato first or not. And we are
okay. Yeah, you win. Okay, I can't counter out. Yeah, okay.
You could not counter out. No, that you did 8.
I was confused for a second. I was like, oh no. But yeah, okay. You won anyways with the Yamato, so that's fine.
Yeah, you're talking about you're not actually able to counter out of your.
Yeah, I wasn't able to counter out of that attack.
Well, like we both agreed. Sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you play well, and at the end of the day, sometimes you cheat. Nathan, not
I don't know.
Not the first time Nathan has cheated me on the channel. Thank you, chatters, for calling it out because you have a better eye than I do. Nathan over here. He's a no holds bar kind of guy.
Yeah, I know games are being recorded, and I say I don't care. I'm going for it anyways.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
Okay.
No,
well,
it's all good.
I was losing anyways. So.
You were definitely losing. Now you definitely lost.
It's true.
All right, guys. Well, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow for more videos. Yeah. And let us know, have you been enjoying the Set 3 Test With Me series? And if not, let us know why. We would love to improve that for you. But that's it from us tonight. So, peace.
Yep. See ya.